Welcome back to a new lesson. We're up to lesson 69, solving when a is not 1 by factoring. So here's our CFS. We're going to make sure the equation is written in standard form, where ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. We're going to identify if there's a greatest common factor to factor out. If there isn't a factor, there's no factor besides 1, we're going to go back to finding AC, the product of A and C, and find those two integers that multiply to AC but add up to B. And that way we can split that middle term up and create 4 different terms. And that way we can use factor by grouping. And then we can apply the zero product property to solve for all the values of x. So let's try this out together. Here, just all the notes again of exactly what we said that are also in your notes. All right, let's start by putting this into a standard form. I want to give us some space. So I'm going to start by subtracting 6x on both sides. And that leaves me with 3x squared minus 5x is equal to 2. And now subtracting 2 on both sides. And I have 3x squared minus 5x minus 2 is equal to 0. Now that's in standard form, I'm asking the question, is there a GCF? And there isn't. So I'm going to find the product of 3 and negative 2, which is negative 6. And they have to add up to negative 5. So I have 6, 1 and 2, 3. And the ones that will add up to a negative 5, where one of them has to be negative, is going to be the 6 and the 1. So I'm going to use negative 6 and positive 1. So now I have 3x squared minus 6x plus, I can put 1x, so I'm just going to write x, minus 2 is equal to 0. All right. Now I can look for any common factors to factor by grouping. And here I can take out a 3x. And here there isn't anything, so I'm just going to put 1. So let's take out the 3x from here. And that leaves me with x minus 2. And on this side, I just factored 1, so it still leaves me with x minus 2. We're going to rewrite that as 3x plus 1 times x minus 2 is equal to 0. So let's pause there for a second because we've just done a lot. We've set it up into standard form. We've then factored. Did a lot of factor by grouping to get to this point. So now that I have 2, we're going to get to our 0 property. We're going to have our 2 equations. 3x plus 1 is equal to 0. And our second one, x minus 2 is equal to 0. Okay? And at this point, we know how to solve these. So 3x is equal to negative 1. Divide by 3x is equal to negative 1/3. And in this case, in this one over here, plus 2x is equal to positive 2. So those are our 2 answers. I'm going to put them here on the bottom as well. And you can now hit pause and jot this down into your notes. All right, let's walk through one more together. Oh, I want to write in black. We're going to start by writing this in standard form. So let's move everything to the left. (8x squared minus 8x plus 3 is equal to 9, and we'll subtract 9 from both sides. 8x squared minus 8x minus 6 is equal to 0. So now this is written in standard form, so let's look to see if there's a GCF, and there is. Our greatest common factor in this case is 2. So we're going to factor out 2, and that will give us 4x squared minus 4x minus 3 is equal to 0. So now we're at the point where we're going to look to see what would the products of 4 and negative 3, so negative 12, the product of negative 12, that adds up to negative 4. So you're thinking of negative 12 that adds up to a negative 4. So 12, 1, 6, 2, 4, 3, and the ones that will work are 6 and 2. So that's going to give us 4x squared plus 2x minus 6x minus 3 equals 0. I'm going to rewrite this up here so we have more space. Let's carry this over. And now let's factor. So for this part, 2x and negative 3, negative 3. And this will leave me with, on this end, 2x plus 1 and negative 3. I'll also have 2x plus 1. So let's rewrite this since we have 2x plus 1 in both. So now I have 2x minus 3 times 2x plus 1. Yours are 2 from the outside is equal to 0. So in this case, we actually have 3 different possibilities. Here's the first one. 2 is equal to 0. That is a false statement. That is not true. So that pathway does not work. That's not a valid solution for x. Let's go to the second one. 2x minus 3 is equal to 0. So we have 2x is equal to 3. Here we have x is equal to 3/2. Let's look at our second pathway. 2x plus 1 equals 0. So 2x is equal to negative 1. Divide by 2. X is equal to negative 1/2. And so here are our two solutions. X is equal to 3/2 and negative 1/2. This one was a lot of work, but keeping it as organized as possible is really helpful and important. So let's hit pause and jot this down. I'm going to box our final answer here so you can also find it. Let's jump into a guided practice. Here's one for you to solve all on your own. Hit pause and work through this problem, and then we'll do a review. Okay, let's see what the solutions are when you factor. You would get x is equal to 3.5 or 3.5. And your second answer, x is equal to negative 1/2. Go back into your notes and see if you have the same answers. And if you have something different, there will be a link in the description of this video where I go through this exact problem using this method. That's it for today, Math Marvels. I'll see you in the next one. Be well.